Hey guys, it's Angela here again at the chicken coop, and I just wanted to kind of give y'all a little garden tour. I've done some decorations for Easter. Pardon the noise, we live on a major highway. I tell y'all all the time, it's like living in the country, but I'm also in town. Major highway, right down there is Walmart, Taco Bell, Whataburger, all those places. And then my house sits very far back off the road. So I'm going to turn you around here and we're going to do a little garden tour. So come on, join me. So this is my driveway. My house sits really far back off the road. But we're walking down my driveway. Now that front flower bed, that was one of my projects I was going to do this summer, but of course with COVID-19, I could probably get it torn out, but I probably might not be able to buy any replacement shrubs or anything with it. So, I don't know. We'll see about that. These are my azaleas. They were really in bloom last week. They're kind of almost done with their blooming. Some of my Easter decorations. My little garden flag. This tub, I've recycled it from last year. I've got some plants in here that when they get going, it'll be really pretty. I've got some pink geraniums, or no, I take that back, they might be red geraniums, that once they get big, they will do well. Those were some of the geraniums that I propagated, and also that wandering Jew plant right there. Those are some of the ones that I propagated. So that plant, it's going to be pretty when all that comes and fills it out a little bit, but I just kind of decorated it a little bit for Easter. It's kind of cute. Some of my other plants, this flower bed I really haven't gotten around to do anything with. I did get the fern in it and some Easter decorations and one other plant that I usually put in it, but I've got to put something right there. Alright, so this flower bed, my husband and I cleaned this out the other day. Oh, it had so many weeds in it. Those are orange cannas across the back. Some of them are missing, and I have some more over here on the side around the corner that I'm probably going to transplant and spread out across the back. So I have orange cannas back there, and then of course I have my irises. My irises are mostly purple, and you know, irises every other year or so, they do really well. I've got some pretty blooms, but oh, I've had years where this thing's just been covered up. And then my border, we cleaned out around my border. Some of the dirt and stuff had built up around my lower rocks, and you couldn't even see that I actually had a little rock border there. So we got that all cleaned up this week, so that looks a lot better. So I'm going to work on transplanting those cannas across the back. Those are real pretty, kind of give some height. And then this last year right here, I had dug up a crepe myrtle, a small, probably 2 or 3 foot crepe myrtle that had gotten that disease, and it was not looking really good. And yes, I could have done something to work on getting rid of that disease, but it takes a lot of work and a lot of patience that I have, you know, a 5.5 acres here. I can't really devote that much time. If I just had a really small, regular size yard that most people have, I could devote that much time to a crepe myrtle, but I didn't. So because of that, I have a lot of open area here, but I have some more azaleas, more irises that I'm going to fill in here, and I'm going to work on getting that put in as well. So that'll be pretty. That is a mandevilla, and it is really fixing to come on. Look at all those blooms that are fixing to pop right there. So it's going to be pretty. It was in my greenhouse. I've had that for several years, and it's really doing well. It almost needs to be repotted, but it's not going to get repotted this year. I usually have that in a different spot, but I moved it there this year since I had lost that crepe myrtle. Look at that big pretty iris. Isn't that pretty? Okay. So this is my wash tub. A friend of ours had given me this, and I just love it. And I kind of cleaned it out yesterday. Those are all mums that would come back every year. I did have some verbena that used to come back, but I don't see it coming back. Oh, and look, I have a little friend in there today. Oh, a little lizard friend. So I've got some plants. I normally do not start planting this early, my flowers in my flower bed, but so I hadn't gone yet to get flowers. My best friend has a nursery, and I haven't even gone over to see her at her nursery this year, but I was desperate. So yesterday my husband and I got out, and I kind of told him what I wanted, and he went hunting and pecking for it, and we got some plants, not what I normally get, but we've got enough to get me started and get a few things filled up. And I'm gonna work on that today, so I'm gonna probably bring you along with me for that. All right, this is our orchard vitex tree. I have a pretty young fig tree right there, some peach trees, some pear trees, and some elderberry bushes that are coming along, and they look like the elderberry bushes are doing good, so hopefully those do really well. So this is kind of like my little orchard area. All right, so this is a little area that I decorate for Easter. It looks pretty good, and my wash tub needs painting, but it's probably not going to get painted this year. I don't know, I might. But we moved it to front and center, and we put those blocks in there. It was in the dirt, and it just kept going deeper and deeper in the dirt, and I knew that was gonna rust out this wash tub. So finally got some pavers to set it on, and that's gonna be really nice. Bird bath that my husband's mother gave me, and the birds really love that. And then this is just a vine that's got some purple flowers that one of my friends gave me. And it's got some daylilies planted in here. And then I'm going to plant this wash tub up, so that's one of my other projects you're probably going to see me do today. And then this is this is called like whirling something. I can't remember what it's called, but look, there's a bee on it already. The bees love it. I don't know if you can see that little bee doing his work. He's just busy. But it's a perennial, and it comes back every year. And this gets like morning sun and then shaded afternoon, so not any hot sun, and it really likes it. So that's something I would recommend. I try to plant a lot of perennials if I can, and then some of these pots and stuff, like my tub and stuff like that, is where I plant just bedding plants. I had these daylilies in another spot, and they just weren't doing any good, and so finally I decided to move them over here, and they bloomed. I moved them last year, and they bloomed just a little last year, but this year I can already tell the growth is improved. They're much bushier. They're not just a single little daylily, so hopefully I will get some flowers out of that. So I'm really hoping. And I love my little well pump. I think that's really cute. I just love it. That's our shop. Down to our barn and our riding area, our round pen that we have to ride horses. We used to all ride horses a lot. My daughter was into Rodeo Queen. She did a lot of riding, and they were also on drill teams, rodeo drill teams. And then at 45, I really didn't ride, and at 45 I decided to start taking riding lessons, and I took riding lessons from a gentleman here in Mineola named Joe Dotson, who was the stunt man for Walker Texas Ranger, and he taught me riding lessons. He also worked with my daughter on her riding, and so I learned to ride, and then I actually competed in competitive trail riding where you have obstacles that you go through, and my horse, it really wasn't me, it was my horse. I had a fabulous horse to do that. She was awesome, and even as a novice I won several trail riding competitions on her. All right, you can't really see it, but we have a huge elm tree at the end of our driveway. I can't even tell you how big this elm tree is. It's huge. We actually looked it up to see if it was the state record, and it's close, but it's not. But it's a huge elm tree. There's not very many elm trees anymore. They got some kind of blight or something. It killed a lot of them off, so we're real fortunate to have that big elm tree. Oh, and now our little dogs are going to start barking. It's not a little dog, it's a big dog. All right, so this is like a little rock garden. This is the west side of our house, gets this sun here. It's shaded in the morning, but in the afternoons in the summer it gets the west sun, so nothing really would grow here very well. And so last year I decided to do this little rock garden. I still need some more rocks, but I'm getting there. And then I put a lot of plants that are more cactus, more tropical, that can take that sun. And so this is a that's a flame stick pencil cactus, sago palms that my husband and I got on a trip down to Louisiana. That's kind of just our reminder of our trip to Louisiana, to Natchitoches, Louisiana. And then of course some cactus. You can't be anywhere in Texas without just a few cactus. And then a crown of thorns. But I'm going to show you my porch, but that's just a little bit of my porch. And then this is a little fence line here. This is Mexican petunia. I've had it in this tub for years and years and years, and it was really overgrown. So just this last week, every year I've been needing to do it, and so I finally got it done. This week we kind of cut all the edges out around there, and I'm propagating that, and just put some new soil in there for the inside part, and hopefully this will take over. My Mexican petunia usually is really good and blooming and everything, but every year I've just noticed it's blooming less and less because I think it was getting really root bound. Okay, let me show you our pretty view here out my porch. And that's right there at the end of that tree line. That is our property line. So we have 5.5 acres here. And that's our barn down there. When we bought this place, the lady, it was really overgrown from about where that mid fence is on back. You couldn't even see anything. And the lady we bought it from said, we used to have a barn down there. I don't know if it's still standing or not. We used to have a barn. So, and we couldn't even walk the property line. It was so overgrown. And my husband and I cleared all this ourselves and really worked hard, and we had this pond dug. That was just a swamp down there. You couldn't really walk it because you would just sink. It was a quagmire. You'd sink to your waist in quicksand down there. But we had it dug a couple years after we bought the place, and of course we have the horses on it now, but my husband used to just mow all that and keep it it was just like a golf course before we got the horses. And this little garden right here, that's my husband's garden. He plants his cantaloupe and his watermelon, things like that down there. So that's kind of his little garden. We have a bridge there's a creek that cuts through our property. We have a bridge that gets over to the barn. There's the round pen and my husband's shop. All right, so let me take you around to another section. All right, so this is our little postage stamp garden, what we call it. This was our original garden that we started gardening with. And we still use it, and we keep it, we used to till it and everything, but now we're just putting mulch on it to keep it from being overgrown. So I try to rotate out planting things here. This year it's going to be my garlic. That's my garlic. And when I pull that garlic, I'm going to plant my okra there. And then we have some tomato plants planted there. I think it's 4th of July and Romas over here. but we still try to keep mulch on this. We worked so hard to get this to a garden state, and we still use it for certain things. Last year I planted pumpkins out here that did really well. This, as it's throughout the years, there's a tree back here. I'll show you this tree, but it's gotten bigger and bigger and starting to overhang more and more, so it's getting more and more shady. But it's also, this is the west, that is the west going that way. That's all west sun. And so you have to really plant things that can take that sun, which the garlic will do fine, my okra will do fine, tomatoes do fine, bell peppers do fine. I've planted cucumbers and let the cucumbers grow along the fence. So I just try, because I have such a limited garden space, I do have to use this still, okay? This is a little sitting area that my husband and I did this last week. We normally come over here. My daughter's like, what do y'all need, a sitting area every 20 feet here? But we had an extra table, we had some chairs, and we're always, when we're working over here, we're always dragging chairs up. So I said, you know what, let's just make a seating area over here. So we have these chairs and decorate this area up a little bit and make it a little bit pretty. So we did that. It looks better. This is a succulent pot that I did. This is how I cleaned out a few little things that had fallen off in here, but this is how pretty it looked coming out of my greenhouse for winter. So this is the benefits of having a greenhouse, how some of your stuff can just come out and be so pretty and look so nice. So I really love that. I put all that together last year. That was a new pot that I put together last year. Okay, so here's my chicken coop. I think y'all have seen videos of my chicken coop. Still not all my flowers and stuff are out for this, but I like to also have some decorative things. So old chairs, statues. I've got some more things to plant with those geraniums. Those are some more geraniums that I had propagated. You can see on my propagation video. It's been really wet and raining. Chickens are doing well, but their coop's really wet. But since we've been cleaning out the garden, your chickens love weeds. So we have been feeding them with weeds, with all the flower beds and stuff we've been cleaning out. Usually this fence has a big vine that's coming on. I saw it's starting to come out down there, and it'll be covered with a flowery vine. That's really pretty. Hibiscus. We repotted that hibiscus, and it's looking a lot better. Geranium again that I propagated myself. When it gets going, it'll be really pretty. And then here's my garden. Now my garden still, I haven't really worked too much in my garden. It's rained all last week. So this is the week to get my garden in. I'm probably gonna work on some flowers again today, get those done, and then this week work on planting my garden. So something I didn't mention with all this COVID-19 thing, stuff that's going around, is my daughter has her own children's resale shop here in town, and our grandson is in kindergarten, and then she has a 1-year-old, well, he's soon to be 1, that she has been having, she kept him up at her store. So now with all the COVID-19 scare, we have been watching the grandbabies for the last couple of weeks. So that's why I haven't had hardly any videos. We're still trying to do school for my grandson that's in kindergarten, and then that's kind of hard to do with a 1-year-old that's, you know, crawling and pulling up and doing all sorts of things, about to walk. So it's been an adjustment, but my husband and I would not have it any other way but to take care of those grandbabies and make sure they're safe and keeping them healthy and helping our daughter and our son-in-law any way we can. We try to help her as much as possible, and of course we get the benefit of, you know, loving on those grandbabies. So I learned real quickly there's a reason why I became a nurse and not a teacher, which I kind of already knew already, but we're working it out. He's doing pretty good. We're getting the bugs worked out of it. So let me get back to our tour. All right, so this is some onions and asparagus bed. I haven't cleaned it out of weeds, but this is the second year, I think, for these asparagus. So they're still not real big or real full, but they're looking pretty good. I think that's pretty good. And some of these I actually started from seed myself, and some I bought the crowns. And my garden is kind of in my side yard here. I've showed y'all my compost pile before, and here's my garden in my greenhouse. So see, I have a very small space garden, so I have to be, you know, creative with the use of my garden. Bottle tree. These are some herbs that come back every year. That's oregano and some thyme. I've never harvested any of the oregano. That's actually the best it's ever looked, so I'm probably going to harvest a little of that this year. I have harvested some sage. That smells so good. But I've got to get this weeded out, get this planted. I've got onions there. I had cabbages mixed up inside there. There's some holes in there where my cabbages was. I've harvested my cabbage, and I actually made some sauerkraut. More tomatoes. I did a video on this. These are the purple Russians that I planted. That's my tomatoes. Here's my chard coming up, so it's looking really good. I haven't worked on these flower beds. Got to work on those. I've got some more plates to add to my little border here. But I've got some bee balm coming back, some sunflowers coming back. This was also a new garden last year. So I've got some violets there coming, and I've got to get this planted. We're probably going to see a video on getting this planted. That's always real pretty in the summer when I get it all planted. This is our deck that we did last year. This was a project we did. Totally DIY, totally non-budget. We recycled everything for that deck. So that was really a nice project. We always sat out underneath this tree anyways when we garden. This is our shade area. But it kind of starts, our yard kind of starts sloping down. So we were always kind of sitting on a lean. And so when we were able to get this deck going, it was just awesome. I still have some plants that need to come out here that I put out on the tables and decorate with, but I have started pulling some of them out and getting out here on our deck. So it's looking good. And there's our girls, and there's a lot of the babies that I've hatched out from eggs from my chickens. All those little small babies over there. They're getting big. We also usually try to put a load of mulch in here, and we just hadn't got that around to that. But you know how it always is on your homestead. There's always projects you got to do. Always projects. Hey y'all, so I'm just going to plant some of this little pot up, this little wash tub. I love this thing. I've had it forever, and I plant in it every year. This year, I think this is some calla lilies. I'm having to do some things that I don't normally do, which might be actually a good thing of doing things that you don't normally plant. Kind of get you out of your rut and do things that get to know some plants that you don't normally do. Calla lilies, I've never planted calla lilies, so we'll see how they do here. This is, if I hadn't tried to sit there and try to tell you what it is, I could tell you. It is New Guinea impatient. Okay, finally got it. New Guinea impatiens do really well. They can kind of do shade or sun. They're better than regular impatiens that pretty much take the shady area. All right, so this is, I love New Guinea impatiens. And this is kind of a mixed pot. It's got some white and some pink. And I thought it would do good to bring out some of this color in this calla lily. Kind of complement some of the colors in that. And this will get really big and full and take up that whole corner. And then this is a Texas native. It's a verbena, and it's the trailing verbena, so I thought it would be pretty hanging over this pot. And it's kind of got some pink and white in it as well. I love pink. I'm drawn to pink, y'all. I do a lot of pink and purples. Lots of pinks and purples. And reds. I do some reds, but most of the pink. So I have to really work at doing other colors. That's why that orange cannas that's in my flower bed is something different color than I usually do. So sometimes I really have to work hard at getting other colors. But if I'm really picking out what I like, it's always the pinks. But everybody needs, you know, some different colors in your garden. All right, so there's that trailing verbena. I don't know, I think this is an angelonia, but I'm not sure. My friend would know. Oh my gosh, she knows all the names of all these flowers. I've learned a lot just through going and sitting with her, but through all this coronavirus stuff, I haven't gotten to do any of that. And now she's closing down, so it'll be my first year since she's opened up her nursery for me not going over there. And usually I just try to go over there and hang out with her and visit, because during this time she's so busy. I have to just do that or she can't. And then after she gets off work, we'll go out to eat or something. But I try to help her while I'm there, what little I can do. But she's just amazing. She knows all sorts of the plants' names. And then I thought I'd plant this begonia right here too. A little bit here in the front. Just a little different little begonia. I love begonias. So, look how pretty that looks already. That's going to be really pretty. Maybe next year I can get my son to paint this for me. All right, so that's going to bring a lot of color into this little flower bed. That's going to be awesome with those little whirling things that I've got growing over here. That's going to be really pretty when it fills all out. So on to another project. All right, so this is that iris bed that I've got some irises that I had stored in my greenhouse that someone had gave me that I'm going to try to plant. Now, how you plant an iris when you get it or you give it to somebody is just cut it off. This has a little bit of green here, and you just bury that rhizome in the ground, and then it'll start producing. So I'm going to kind of go through these. Some of these not be alive, but you know, I think they all are actually. They've been in my greenhouse for so long, they're not looking too good. And I give away to people, and other people give away to me, and I like that too, because that will save you. Find a gardener that's, you know, cleaning out a bed. I like those Mexican petunias. I gave some to my friend. She's landscaping around a new office that she just built, and so I gave her some of those Mexican petunias to plant around her office. And that's how you do it. You share with them, they share with you. I do sell things every once in a while, but I give a lot of stuff away. Even usually when people buy stuff from me, I'm sitting there going, well, here, take this too, take this too. And they like that. Oh yeah, these need to be planted. But irises are a really old plant. You know, my grandmother had them, my aunts, my mama always had irises. You can't go wrong with an iris. My daughter's over here taking pictures of my grandbabies for Easter, doing their little Easter pictures. I'll be glad to get these out of my greenhouse and get this in the ground. They're not going to do anything in a pot. They've got to be in the ground, so I'm glad to get this finally done. I love this little stool I have. I got this at a yard sale or something, and I just love it. And it rolls, and it's easy to move around, and it's really handy. I like it. And planting a iris is kind of like planting a tomato plant. That rhizome it's kind of a 90-degree angle, so you just plant a trench, put your rhizome in it and cover it up, and then the iris comes out going up 90 degrees. That's the easiest way to plant them. We had some fire ants in here yesterday when we were weeding this out, and normally I do not like to do any kind of poisons or anything like that, but fire ants must die, and the only thing that's going to kill them is poison. We have tried all those other remedies and they do not work, so y'all can have comments below, but I'm telling you, fire ants must die. Okay, so I've got all the irises planted, and so now I'm going to transplant some of these cannas that I dug up. Luckily, this is some soft soil. And I can transplant these pretty easy. Usually, sometimes I have to get my husband to help me. But this, I think I can manage. Go grab a couple more. All right, so there's kind of the after of that flower bed. I've got one little hanger over here on this corner behind there that my son is spray painting a water can for me with a bright color, and then this one's done. This flower bed is done. And I don't know if you kind of have noticed, there's like a theme going on over here. The old wash tub for washing clothes. I've got the old water pump, well pump for water, and then of course my old washing machine, and then I have an old mop bucket over here. So it's kind of like old-timey, old-fashioned cleaning, that kind of stuff. That's kind of like the theme going on over here. And then I did get some more cannas planted in the back there. I still need to plant a few right here, and I may get that done here in just a second. Got all the irises planted around this mandevilla, and then I also got a canna planted in the back. So this bed is just about done. It looks really cute. I like it. This is one of my favorites. I love this because it's right when you drive up my driveway and you see it, so I like it to be pretty and to be nice for when people come and get eggs and stuff. They see all this. So move on to another project. So when that verbena comes on and hangs over, that will be really pretty. And then I put a couple of begonias in that old mop tub. So on to another planting. All right, y'all, so we've been at it all day. We took a little bit of a break and had some lunch and rested. It sprinkled a little bit, and then we got back at it, and it's about 7 o'clock. It's, you know, getting a little dark here. So I wanted to show you some additions. I like a lot of yard art. I think it adds to your garden. And I forgot I had this little sunflower and this little chihuahua, And so since this is over here by our dog pen, I thought I would add this to this little setting over here with the table. And I wanted to show y'all what I added. Over here by my chicken coop, I added some little chicken cutouts that I had stored in my storage room. Aren't they cute? I just love those. And we kind of cleaned this out, switched things around a little bit, and that is some loofah gourd seeds that are going to grow up and grow on the chicken coop. So this is my first year to grow loofah, so we'll see how that works. I'll keep y'all posted. All right, hey y'all, it's Angela here again at the chicken coop, and we're back at it again today. So this is a little thing I got from my mother-in-law. It used to be an old fountain. It had a crack in it, and so she gave it to us because she thought we could fix the crack. And I was like, no, I don't even think I'm gonna worry about fixing that crack. I think I'm just gonna pot it up and have make a planter out of it. And so that's what I did, and I've had this like a couple years now, and it really makes a pretty focal point in this bed here when it's all done up pretty. So I'm just trying to clean this out a little bit and get it ready for some plants I bought yesterday. You know, if weeds were pretty, we could just grow weeds. It'd be a lot easier. They just grow. So what are y'all doing today? Are y'all working out in your yard? Is it still too cold to work out in your yard? So what's going on out here in chicken coop land? I was so glad this ground cover kind of came back and didn't die out completely over the winter. So I won't have to do that, and I have some spider plants in here that are coming back out. So we didn't have a real hard winter, so things just didn't get killed off like they would normally. I noticed yesterday I edited some of my videos yesterday. I edited them last night to be able to add this onto it today. And I'm not a pretty gardener. You know, you see these shows, these YouTube channels that the people are out there working in their garden and they look so pretty and all that kind. I'm not a pretty gardener. I just realized that no, I don't look so good doing this. That's why I'd rather like show y'all kind of what I'm doing and then show you the after thing and not the process, because this isn't too pretty. But it's, you know, I'm 56 years old. I just had a birthday. I'm kind of past all that. All right, so this is another impatient, and I think I'm going to try to stick it up here in the top if I can. I usually do a lot of begonias in here, and they didn't have the begonias that I like. I like pink begonias. I told y'all I like pinks, and so they didn't have pink begonias yesterday. They only had these, and I mean, they had those other ones that I planted yesterday, and they didn't have any more. They had sold out, so now I'm kind of stuck. And this is a very shallow little bed, so there's not a lot of room for anything. Because it was just a fountain. And usually I can get a begonia in here pretty good. Maybe this New Guinea impatient, I'm separating these out. Maybe I can get a couple of these in here. Maybe those will fill out and kind of get that looking good. This pot was pretty root bound, so I may kind of cut some of these roots off anyways. Move the airplane plant up. I'll just fill in this front part of this one. only bad thing about an airplane plant, this little bitty plant has a huge root system. And it can definitely choke out some other plants. See, that little bitty plant has this whole big old root system. I need to bring my scissors out here. Look, here's this other one. This little plant has this big old root system. This is Sweet William. It's a perennial. It's supposed to come back every year. I like that about it. Don't be afraid to do that to your plants. Plants are pretty resilient. I mean, you might not want to do this with every plant, but bedding plants, pretty easy. Hole deep. So this is an airplane plant that I propagated. Y'all saw I did a video on that and how pale and just kind of scraggly they looked. And look how bright, vivid green and everything those look now. And look at the roots already on them. I don't know if you can see them, but they already have roots on them. So, like I say, it's easy to propagate some of this stuff and use it for your garden. So I'm just going to pop that in right here in the front. And then as it comes on, it'll kind of fill in that bed. Alright, so I'm going to weed eat the rest of this flower bed and I'll show y'all the after. Alright, so I have a plate border here, and I had bought the rest of the plates, collected them over the last year. So we pulled those up. We're going to straighten up our line. We ran a string. It's kind of bulging out where those plants are right there, that bee balm sticking out. But we're going to straighten up this edge and put the rest of the plates out there for my edging. got my little garden gate out and got that little rock fountain planted, and I got all my plates put in. My husband and I worked on that. He helped me. We got that all in a row and it looks so good. And then some of the plants we moved and transplanted them back there, and then I will put some flower seeds and get some more pots and things that I have still in the greenhouse and set up underneath there, and then that'll be really cute. I just love how it turned out. We've been working hard, y'all. My tomato plants, I always plant some marigolds, and I finally found two kind of incomplete flats of marigolds, orange and yellow, and I planted some marigolds up and down my tomato plants. Got all that done. Weeded all these tubs because we're going to start on planting our direct sown seeds tomorrow probably. Got some more marigolds planted over here with these tomatoes. Got all these tubs weeded. It's really not hard. I use that little stool and I sit there and I pull things that are big, and then I just kind of scratch around on the top of the surface. And this dirt or soil that's in these tubs, I have worked on this year after year after year, and it is so soft and loose. It's real easy to weed my vegetable garden. And really, y'all, with my lupus is for years, we didn't really know what it was, but it's affected my joints and my hip joints especially. So it's really hard for me to get down, but I can sit on that stool and do everything I need to do sitting on a stool while I'm gardening. And I got those tubs over there all weeded. These are some dahlias. I had dahlias in here last year and they just bloomed all summer long, and so I found those yesterday or day before yesterday. And I also planted some plants that I had planted through winter sowing. I had some seeds. I had done these last year. Some people call them popcorn plants. Some people call them candlestick plants. They make a yellow, they kind of get really tall and make a yellow flower that's kind of cone shaped, kind of looks like popcorn. So I planted those in here. It'll be a nice backdrop behind this orange and yellow. So I thought that would be, those are really pretty. Oh, I just love that. Isn't that pretty? And I planted some Mexican petunia right there that I had, when I divided that pot, I planted that right there. And got more seeds to sow in here. So I just wanted to kind of show y'all where we were at and what all we got accomplished in the last 2 days. Got a lot done today, and that's good. I needed to get this done. I have lots of hooks out here in my garden, and I like to put hanging baskets full of flowers out here to kind of decorate my garden as well. So I am so happy because I got so much done today, and I'm so excited, and I'm so glad my husband helped me to get all this done. It's tomorrow when my grandbabies come, it won't be so hard to get, we can plant out here. That won't take us long at all. And I probably will do a video and kind of show y'all the techniques and everything I do to plant my garden. So that's another video for another day. But thanks for watching. I'd show y'all what I look like, but I am dirty, and I am tired. And thanks for watching the chicken coop, and we will talk to y'all later. Thanks for visiting with me. Bye-bye.